Hello everyone, welcome back to my Let's Replay channel. Once again, this is Andrew T coming at you. And today we're going to do our vlog review of This War of Mine and Deponia. Now, This War of Mine I'd downloaded a while ago for about $3.99 off Steam sale, and I think it's still going on now, but I was reluctant to play it because the subject matter I heard got really dark and grim towards as the further you played on it, and I can deal with that in some things, but this was more psychological. It's not really my cup of tea. Like post-apocalyptic games, survival stuff like that, I'm fine with. But the stuff where the Walking Dead style, where it's like, the human interactions are much worse than just trying to survive. I'm like, I'm not really into that. But anyway, I played through it. It was good mechanics. I like how the people you have. It's almost like a roguelike in that you don't really know what you're gonna find on when you're searching for things, and that's pretty much what the game is you have a base, you have to manage your people, your resources, and your scavenging ability, and everything else in between. And as you get into the game, when you get more items, more people, more things to protect, it gets harder to manage because of the scarcity of the resources that you actually go out and find. So I thought it was pretty good. It's definitely a niche market, I'd say, for this type of game, but apparently it's done fairly well. So I hate to give it a score after such a short review, but it was a pretty short playthrough. I like the way the bios are for the characters that you're on. Gives you a little bit of backstory on each, so that way if they have to be lost for any reason, you kind of get that emotional connection. It's something that's been done before in other games a little bit less well, but it's definitely something that if you're looking for something to kind of just pick up and play every once in a while, it's good for that. The graphics are decent. The mechanics are pretty, I don't want to say pretty basic, but they are pretty basic mechanics. But the work they put into them on this game is fairly substantial for what I can tell, because they could have just had a bare bones, pixelated background that just changes periodically depending on what you do. But they put some real time and effort into animating the whole scene of your base and the things that you do to improve it and the items that you get or can change throughout it. So, and I like the mechanic of the scavenging as well. Depending on who's there, you can kind of peek through keyholes and see if there's anyone on the other side, or if you have to fight them, or if it's better just to run away and come back another day if you can't get to the whole house. But I wish it would have had a tutorial or something, because I was just going in blind. I'm like, okay, do I need anything else? Can I trade with people, or do I just have to steal everything? And apparently I just had to steal everything. So I could have brought more stuff back, but I had too much stuff in my inventory to begin with. So if I had to rate this just on my first impressions and everything else, from the subject matter to the UI to the graphics, everything like that, I'd probably give it around a 6 out of 10. Above average, not a bad game. It's definitely made for people that like the genre, though, or maybe for the people that like the mechanics of it, and they can just get into it and like getting into a deep, immersive world where they kind of get attached to their characters and want to do their best on the management side, because that's basically what it's going to turn into. The further you get in the game is a management game where you're managing every single thing and have to micromanage every single thing just to try to get as far as you can. And I don't even know if there's a story to it, or if you're just trying to survive as long as you can. And maybe the radio, when I built it, it'll let you know that the war's over eventually. But it just seems like it's just throwing you in there and just saying, all right, see how long you can survive on this one without everything turning to crap. So that's what I'm going to give this one. I'm going to give This War of Mine a 6 out of 10. Didn't have a bad time playing it. Didn't have a great time playing it. It's just average. Above average, so that's the score I gave it. That's how much I enjoyed it. So moving on from that, we'll go to a game I had played not recently, but before, called Deponia. And the first time I played it, I pretty much had the exact experience I did this time. I kept with it a little while. Logically, I could get to the answers to the questions for the puzzles, but there were, like I said, a little bit of traps that you didn't need to interact with everything, but there were other stuff in there that they just kind of put in there as as pitfalls and just delaying and the inevitable of, okay, I have everything, I put everything in my suitcase, I got out of there, and now I have to launch my rocket, which it would have been another about 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes of me going around that, and I didn't think it was really worth it, because once you get past that portion, then not the whole map, most of the map of the town opens up to you. That's when you're like, okay, this is way too much input to try to figure out what to do on my own. Because even in that small little room and area in the first place, there was stuff that I was missing. I was just like, oh, there's this and this and this and this and this. Okay, I think I found everything, and then like, oh, I missed that, or there's something over here. And that's a problem with games like this, is that it's such a bright atmosphere and the bright animation style that it's not completely clear on everything you can do in the map or everything you can interact with. And that's why in a lot of these games, like a lot of these point and clicks, like the Book of Unwritten Tales, they give you an option to hold down Alt or something or Shift and see everything you can interact with on every screen. Because if you ever get tired of pixel hunting, which is what it is, basically, and trying to find that one thing or that one item or that one so-and-so that you just have to look at this time at this certain time after you did this other thing, it just becomes too much for me after a while. And old school adventure games, they did have a lot of, not linearity, what's I'm working for, they had a lot of logic to them, and that, okay, I can kind of see this going to this, going to this, but this turned into a lot of Sierra logic, or Moon logic, and I'm like, oh, if you grab this that you got over here from this one guy way back in Act 1 and hold on to it for all this time, you can add it to this thing later on in Act 3, or this map open up and you can do this and this. And it used to be that in games where you open up another section, what you had in inventory, kind of intuitively what to do. But in games like this where it doesn't really have that, because it's a new world, it's a new set of rules, and you don't know what's going to work with what. It's just basically just trial and error at that point. And some of the puzzles get really hard later on. I think 40% through the game, I just like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to just read a walkthrough the whole way. I just YouTube the ending and figure out or the cutscenes and figure out what's going on. And like, I don't really want to do that. And I wasn't really enjoying myself at that point. Because the storyline I thought was okay, and it's nice and quirky, the humor and all that, but I was just like, it's okay, but it could have been a little bit easier, I think. But for the people who enjoyed it, it got 2 sequels, so there was definitely a market for it. And it's not a bad game, but it's just not for me. So I have to give it a score objectively on that. Just because I didn't enjoy it as much as other people did, I can't really let that tailor my review because I didn't have a good time. It is my opinion, and that's what my reviews usually go on, but I am trying to be as impartial as I can when it comes to games that I may not enjoy as much, but are actually good games when you look at them objectively. So if I had to score this one, I'd give it another 6 out of 10, just because there's a market for it. It is an above average game, but the difficulty spike is a little bit too high for just anyone who wants to pick it up for enjoyment purposes. Just like, oh, this looks like a nice, quirky, funny game. I'll pick it up, and oh my gosh, there's so many puzzles, and this is way too many brain teasers to really get into for the casual gamer. It's a good game for those that are the market for it, but it's definitely a niche market for this one. The humor does help out a lot. The animation's good. The voice acting is great. I really like the quirky humor and the dialogue of it, but once you've kind of heard all the dialogue, it's kind of like, okay, now I want to get to the next place, but I just don't know what to do. And then you start going back, if you don't want to rely on a walkthrough, you're going back through each and every single screen you've gone through, just trying combinations at that point with every inventory and every option you have until you kind of get what you're supposed to do. Or if you run into a puzzle that's way too hard and you've spent like 30 minutes on it and you're not even don't even think you're close to getting to the answer, you just give up, go to walkthrough and find out what you're supposed to do. And if it's when you do that, though, there's 2 choices you can make. You can like, all right, I would have never figured that out on my own. I'm glad I went through it, and now hopefully I can enjoy the game after that. Or you look at it and like, oh, I was right there. I could have done that if I just would have kept at it for another 10, 15 minutes. the problem is that this 10, 15, 20 minutes on these one particular puzzles takes time out of my day I don't want to. So, like I said, I didn't hate the game. I didn't really like it. It was just kind of something that I bought that looked good, but after a while I was like, I'm pretty much just reading a walkthrough just to get through it, and I stopped. Like I said, I was just about halfway through just because I didn't want to go through with it anymore. But anyway, that's my vlog review of this war of mine and of Deponia. Thank y'all so much for watching. This is Andrew T coming at you, and what a great day for a replay. Y'all have a good one.